Greetings, my name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, licensed presenters, my patrons, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor or a student. Four things today. Do you know the way? Like the song, do you know the way to San Jose? My question is, do you know the way to whole body? Or what way do you get to whole body? Because in the second thing out of Joe's book, Return to Life Through Contrology, Contrology develops the body uniformly. Well, if that's the case, then how is that accomplished? What is the way to developing the body uniformly? And I'm here to espouse the point of view that it's a matter of fact that this is the way the body does it, through oppositional rotation between axes. That's how it distributes the load of the body. That's the body accomplishing the physics required to move through, swim like a fish through an ocean of air. My Portuguese translator. Swim like a fish in an ocean of air. So the way to do that is through core new tension. And to the extent that you want to overlook that or not believe that or ignore that, that's fine with me. But to the extent that you're interested in what I have to say, the two things that I have, core new tension is one of them, and one point of view of Pilates is another. But with core new tension, it's an identification of the biomechanics the body is employing to move through space. Core new tension is the way the body engages itself to move through space. It has rotational dynamic at the shoulders and the ears and the hips and the knees and the ankles and the metatarsals. And it's between those rotational dynamics that the body can most efficiently distribute the load and so be as light in space as possible. Because why? Because you're most uniformly engaged. So if you take whole body seriously, then I seriously suggest to you, you consider it being a fact of the matter rather than subject to your judgment, right? That core new tension exists within the body. It's the way it distributes load. And until someone can point to you a better interpretation of how the body engages itself to move through space, then feel free to place some faith in this one. Number 2 out of 4. Our struggle is to get closer to the moment that we're in. This keeps coming up when I lay over a roller and then stretch my neck before I then lay over a ball and then do a flexion and a rolling like a ball where my head makes contact to spread the load through the tension. I sit on my reformer and place my head on the edge of the caddy and reach my arms around my legs, knees that are bent, and into and cup the insides of the soles of my feet. Maybe my metatarsals, but usually just my soles. and then from that expand out like rolling like a ball, with the inclusion of a forehead contact point that allows you to make tension. For me, it's a great way of pulling my spine out of my trunk, of getting stretch on my spine. Our struggle is to get closer to the moment that we're in. So, I struggle to remember this. When I do that, I can do that and be down in my sequence and not remember what happened when I did it, meaning what adjusted, how many vertebrae, in what order. Did my shoulder go as well? Was there anything else? But noticing, because you can differentiate from one day to the next, I can, where I find release in my spine when I do that, when I apply that kind of tension. I'm trying to point to the difficulty of remembering the moment as it goes by, and pointing to a struggle of getting closer to the moment that we're in. So what does that mean? When you do Pilates, you pursue this ideal movement, trying to completely coordinate your being, thinking, and observing. And the main ingredient to the observing is all of the sensation coming off of the pursuit of the movement that then coordinates with thinking's effort in that movement, like using the feedback from the sensation to further enhance the expression of the movement. I think it's very hard to be present in the moment. I think that's why doing Pilates is such a mind-blowing thing, in that it draws you into more state of presence. Whatever you do and however you move and whatever you call Pilates, if there's any extent at all of aiming for what? For control in the effort, how can you go wrong? It's just a matter of how right do you want to be, or how much control do you want to have in terms of understanding what it is that makes it what it is. Which brings me to number 3, sensation junkie. A couple of people come to mind, especially one student who I put into the side over on the short box on the reformer. So reformer, short box, side over. Lateral plane, stretch, gravity fed by the trunk, right? And it's a sensational engagement, and their response to that was from one that was hooked on sensation. Meaning that's what I mean by sensation junkie. That you're hooked on sensation. And when you come to Pilates, there's so much in it that offers so much sensation. The point is it sensation for sensation's sake, or is it sensation in the pursuit of an ideal expression? And in MMP, it's pursuit of an ideal expression. And number 4, why inside to outside before outside to inside? So this is coming from, for example, kneeling on the reformer, facing away from the pulleys, and making arm circles. So the tension is behind you, through the straps, into the springs of the carriage. Okay? But do your arms go from the outside in or from the inside out? And why? And the bottom line is that it's easier. And the whole thing about contrology and progressive patterns and progressive loading is to do things within a range before you extend beyond it. And maybe there's somebody out there that wants to convince me that going from the outside and reaching around wide and coming forward is somehow easier than coming in close to center. Hello? And from close to center you go out and around and away from center. See, they're antithetical to one another. And one is preparation for the other. So being close to center and reaching up and around and going wide, it naturally comes before going wide and coming up and over and around. And if that fails to connect intellectually, which often can happen, then go find safe instruction that sets that up for you and lets you experience the difference between the two. So the why, do you know the way? The way to get whole body? The way to get whole body is through core nutension. And this is a message, it's just an opinion, but the opinion is that core nutension is a fact of the matter. And the only question is, when will it be convenient for you to make use of that knowledge, let alone openly admit that you're aware of it? And again, one point of view about biomechanics, I say we rotate at the hips, we rotate at the shoulders and the ears and the knees and the ankles and the metatarsals. And those rotational dynamics aren't arbitrary. It's not like you rotate the other way at the hips. The strength in your hips is in a grip that rotates this way. So and that's where I'm like, MMP is exhorting you to recognize reality. At least my claim to what's real in core nutension, and my claim of it being real comes with an assurance that if you go looking for it, you can find the difference between core nutension and not core nutention. Specifically between locked knees and pointed toes, and soft knees and metatarsals. So an MMP, at least, right? I ask you, MMP takes the point of view that we're dealing with reality. And that Joe's mat is the method, that's the presumption of MMP. The third thing out of the three things you got to know to be a presenter is the sequence. And just like you can recite the alphabet, I suggest you could recite hundreds roll up, roll over, ... push-ups. But fill it all in. And then when you get really good, be able to go backwards or forwards. Because just when you think you have your mat class that's been going on for over a decade, and they're into the process, but they're losing focus, well then you go backwards with them. And then forwards. The point being what? See, our struggle, that was number 2, get closer to the moment we're in, to be more present. And to the sense, and to the point that Pilates offers so much sensationally, the distinction comes in between, are you only in it for the sensation? And even if you are only in it for the sensation, there's movement that is in pursuit of the ideal or of an ideal. There's an aspiration towards ideal movement. It's all a matter of you and whether or not you're listening and can go find what I'm pointing to sensationally. Because then you own it for yourself, internally, experientially. And so, Pilates. Life can't live forever. Read between the lines and see behind the curtain, and add two and two after you connect the dots and evaluate points of view, then make an offer. And the offer is just to make a presentation. That's all it's for. That's all I'm focused on with you, is you becoming a presenter and covering 3 things from Joe and 2 things from me. And the 2 things from me are CT and MMP. If you get involved in this, there's previous videos. I'd go back as long as you can reach, and then start going forward from there. Because it's better to take in a sequential evolution of the message than to reach back in staggered steps and not get a sense of how I came to the clarity of this. Evaluate points of view. Know how to make an offer. For the presentation, get paid in cash up front. Be Christopher Columbus in the offer and Aretha Franklin in getting paid. Direct your thinking. Direct your thinking. Direct your thinking. Can you tell when you're not? Recognize the difference. Direct your thinking. Geist.